My name is Alex Robinson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Juniper Square. I think there's a few key themes that we see between institutional GPs and LPs that came through in this webinar. And the first is that there's a genuine and sincere desire among both GPs and LPs to work together to improve the status quo. It's not an adversarial sort of, they want this, I don't want to give that, but really a genuine desire and acceptance that the status quo isn't really a great place to kind of land in perpetuity, and a lot of hope and aspiration for reducing the amount of time that GPs spend on reporting while still getting LPs the information that they need to be good fiduciaries with regard to their investments. The second thing that we have seen is that this is a complex problem. You've got hundreds, thousands of GPs on one side. You've got hundreds to thousands of LPs on the other side. Each of them needs something a little bit different. That's the way their board is used to seeing data, or whatever the case may be. And so finding a solution that works for everybody is a real challenge. It's like trying to get the 50 states to agree on a common tax code. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. And so there's an acknowledgement that any solution here is going to have to recognize the needs, that every GP is different and every LP is different. And then the third point that I'd make is that we are seeing real traction and real kind of movement toward industry standards, where there is a desire to try to agree on common frameworks, common reporting where we can. And at Juniper Square, we're very supportive of that. It makes our life a lot easier if the industry could agree on a standard. And as those agreements happen and there's sort of traction around different frameworks to organize reporting between GPs and LPs, we're very supportive of incorporating that into our platform at Juniper Square. Well, I think there's a few things. I think the global financial crisis in 08, 09 drove a tremendous increase in the appetite from LPs to really understand what was going on with their investment portfolios sponsored by GPs. And we've seen the same thing happen with the pandemic over the last 18 months, where anytime you're introducing new levels of risk, new levels of uncertainty, the demand for information goes up. And we've seen that here. So you take an already complex problem and you introduce a COVID pandemic, which has had a really a disruptive effect on certain product types within real estate. I mean, we're at Juniper Square, we're still mostly remote. Our offices are open, but few people are attending them. And there's no question that's impacting portfolios, and owners are interested in understanding those impacts. So there's the COVID pandemic, which is driving a lot of the challenge here by creating more demand for information. The second issue, the second trend that we've seen is a shift from LPs wanting to consume information in a static PDF report to LPs really wanting to do exposure analysis and performance analysis, which requires them to have access to the underlying data, not just at the fund or investment level, but at the asset level as well. And it's a reasonable desire that they have to want to know what % of their portfolio is in a certain product type. The challenge is GPs are not very well equipped with the technology systems that they have to deliver on this demand from LPs. So most GPs are not organized in a way where they can easily transfer data at the asset level that interacts with capital account balances and data at the fund level to satisfy LP needs. And as a result, what we've seen the industry default to is everybody using Excel, thousands of different Excel spreadsheets shared between these parties, and the amount of duplication of work that's happening inside of GPs and inside of LPs for a company like Juniper Square, where we see thousands on either side of the ledger, is painful to watch, and we're optimistic we can have an impact on helping the industry move forward. Yeah, so the industry is responding. As I mentioned, there's a genuine and sincere effort on the part of both GPs and LPs to want to work together to improve the status quo. And we've seen a lot of traction with various industry groups, whether it's the adoption of ILPA's capital account template as an example, or their distribution notice template, where even in the 10 years that we've been operating in this industry, the pace of acceleration of both GPs and LPs being willing to adopt some of these standardized formats from NACRE, from Reporting Standards Group, is really on the rise, and we're very supportive of that at Juniper Square. It makes our life a lot easier. There's private companies like us working to make it easier through technology to enable GPs to deliver on LP reporting expectations. We've got a product in this space called institutional reporting that 2/3 of the top 100 GPs use. But the core of it is the industry's got to get out of PDFs and spreadsheets as a means of exchanging data. You know, when you go into your bank to withdraw $100, they're not, opening up a binder of PDFs to see what your bank account balance is. They're relying on the sort of complete transmission of data happening electronically and digitally. And that's what we need to move forward towards in private equity. Technology has a huge role to play here. I mean, I'm a technology CEO, so I'm going to be biased, but I think if you look historically, it's been said many times that people tend to overestimate the impacts of new technologies in the short run, and they tend to underestimate the impacts in the long run, in the course of a decade. And I think we'll say the same thing about this period where we're transitioning out of PDFs and out of Excel and into shared systems of record. And we're very bullish on the impact. And I think all of us should be excited on the impact that technology can have. And you don't need to get 50 states to agree on a common tax code. You can have a company like TurboTax come in and map those requirements, and for the taxpayer, it's as if they did. And that's the kind of promise that technology can deliver for both GPs and LPs, and we're very excited to be a part of it.